The wealth gap. You've heard it before. You're a leader. You make the big bucks. Just because you may make the big bucks, what are you doing with those big bucks that you're making? Are you saving any? Are you investing any? Or are you just spending everything? Just because you make the big bucks doesn't mean that you're closing that wealth gap. I'm Adrian from Adrian's Avenue, and I talk about things that are rich, relatable, and relevant that will help you become the leader that others want to follow. Let's jump right into this one. This term, the wealth gap, has been thrown around, and we know it as differences between different groups of people. The wealth gap that I want to talk to you about today is what are you doing to close that wealth gap? Whatever group of people you're in, are you doing your best to close that wealth gap? I know you're saying, Adrian, during this time of inflation and recession, what can I do to close that wealth gap? Well, you can do several things. You can start out by looking at your expenses, the things that you're spending your money on. I was having a conversation with someone in the office the other day, and he said that he had a Range Rover and another car and some other bills out there. And he said during this time of uncertainty, he's going to probably start selling off some of these things. He goes, do I really need a Range Rover? I just need transportation. Yes, I like enjoying riding in the car, driving it, but it's an extra bill. And during these times of uncertainty, I want to get rid of that bill. So he's going to look at his household, the expenses, and start cutting down on things. Also, we know when we go to the grocery store how expensive it is to buy just simple groceries. That's something that we need to look at. Start cutting out coupons and see what you can save on. Get the things that you need. Look at different brands. Read labels to see if this brand is comparable with the next brand. Do things such like this that will help you. Look at some of those magazine subscriptions that you may have or some other subscriptions that you may have coming into your house. Look at your cable bill. What can you do with that? What can you do with the phone bill? Just look at all the things that you're spending your money on so that you can make the best decisions with the money that you have coming into your household. Build an emergency fund, build a security fund, however you want to call it. Build amount of money that where if something were to happen as far as an emergency, something to your house, something breaks that you didn't expect for it to break, you would have some funds somewhere to go ahead and get the repairs done or get it replaced without it interfering with your monthly budget. So make sure you have that in place because things are still happening. Life is still lifing, you all. And when life lives, things come in and you may not have the money just readily available unless you've planned for it and set some money aside. So in this time of inflation and uncertainty, you don't know whether you're going to have your job tomorrow or not. You don't know if you're running a business that those customers are still going to come in and buy stuff from you online or in the store. You don't know. So the best thing to do is secure up some money for you just in case something happens. If it doesn't happen, you'll still have that money available to you because it's yours. Now, if you have extra money to invest, consider investing in appreciating assets. This is how we get ahead of inflation. If we buy things that are low that will appreciate in value, such as real estate, such as stocks, things like that, that you can buy them at one price, and as inflation goes, they will start appreciating in value. That way you're spending your money wisely and you may be getting ahead of whatever the inflation rate is. But if you buy something that depreciates in value, you're going in the wrong direction. If you buy a car, as soon as you drive it off the lot, especially a brand new car, it's going to depreciate in value and it's going to continue depreciating in value for a time period. So the best thing to do is to buy and focus on investments that are appreciating in value, at least during this inflationary period and uncertainty period until we find out what's really going to go on. Another good thing to do to close that wealth gap, because we are talking about the wealth gap, is to diversify. And when I say diversify, I'm meaning invest in stocks, invest in real estate. Some people think it's either or. I'm saying it's both. A couple of years ago, when I went to a financial planner, he said that you had quite a bit invested in real estate, but you don't have a lot invested in stock. Why don't you consider that? And that's something that I did consider and started investing in that. And to be invested in both areas is a good thing because you don't know what is going to go up, what is going to go down. We know over the long term that both the stock market and real estate goes up. So in this time of inflation and potential recession, the thing to do is diversify your portfolio, invest in both if you can, if you have the extra funds to do so. Okay, you're not going to like this one, but avoid large unnecessary purchases. Even myself, I have to do this. I drive a Toyota, right? Currently, I drive a Toyota. I would love to drive. I've been looking at other things. Is now the right time? Does it really make good sense, using common sense, to go out and purchase something in times like these, in times of inflation where everything is extremely high? Nothing you can get at a discount these days. So maybe I should hold off. Maybe I should just wait until whatever car I'm looking at comes down in price, or whatever SUV I may be looking at comes down to a level where I want to pay, and will be good, be satisfied with paying it. But avoid large purchases such as boats. You know, if you want a new house and don't necessarily need to move into a new house, or if that's not your dream house, you just want to do something, I would say hold off on that for a time being. I would say hold off. But if it's something that is necessary that you need to get, because sometimes the cars wear out, you need to get another car. Doesn't mean you need to get a new car. You could get an upgrade in the car that you have. But if it's something that's necessary, of course, you need to go ahead and buy it. That makes sense. But just going out, looking at things, you know, watches even. Yes, I'd like to have another watch. But is now the right time to purchase a watch in these areas of uncertainty? No, I would say no, not for me at least. But make decisions for yourself. Just listen to what I'm saying. And if it makes sense for you, if it makes sense to you, we're talking about closing that wealth gap. Okay, so that's what we want to focus on. If it doesn't make sense to buy these large purchases, let's not do that. Okay, let's say you have some cash on hand. Where do you put that cash? Because nobody's paying good interest rates. I would challenge you, if you have an emergency fund or a little bit of cash that you don't want to invest right now on hand, I would say go online, because there are some high yielding savings accounts online. Online is best because they don't have brick and mortar to pay off. And so they can give you a higher interest rate. Some are paying at 4.5, some are paying at 5 and over percent, annual percent. So go online and you can put your money there. It's better than making a 0.01, a 0.05 that some of these major banks are paying. Your money's not making any money. It's losing value. It's really losing value. So you want to put whatever money that you have for your emergency fund, that you can still access it, but get the best interest rate that you possibly can. So be smart, go online, search it out, and move the money over there. Make sure it's FDIC insured. You, my friend, can close that wealth gap by hitting that like button and that subscribe button so that you can stay up to date on the latest information as it becomes available to you. And share this one out. I think someone wants to hear this. Okay, what to do with debt? Pay down debt. That's what you want to do in these times, and really at all times, to close that wealth gap. You want to pay down your debt. Unfortunately, right now it's being reported that people are charging on their credit cards to the max. They're still buying things even though they can't afford it. They're paying with today's items with yesterday's money, and we're in an inflation period right now. That's not the right thing to do. You want to pay the debt down. Get some type of a system where you can pay your debt down. There's various programs out there, various systems that you can use to pay your debt down. And once you get one bill paid off, move it to the next bill, and then the next bill. And then once you do that, you'll have freed up money that you can either invest or do something else with, save for a vacation or do something, start paying cash for things. But pay your debt down during these times to make sure you get closer and closing that wealth gap. This is a strategic move, maybe not for everyone, but what you want to do is look at your mortgage interest rate. If you got in the 2% or the low 3s, you may want to consider still paying your mortgage like you normally do. But if you threw extra at your mortgage, you may want to shift that money over to either your retirement account or high yielding savings account to make more on that money. Just see what's best for you. You may want to consult a financial professional before you do anything like this, but you need to do the thing that makes sense for you when it comes to closing that wealth gap, because interest rates are high right now. On mortgages, they're in the 6s and sometimes in the 7s. But if you got in below 3%, even in the 2.1, 2.5, 2.7%, that's a great interest rate. And so that's something that you may want to consider and may want to look at, especially if you throw extra money at your mortgage. And the very last tip that I will give you, as I always say, look for areas to increase your income. If there's a talent that you have, if there's a trade that you know how to do, look for those areas to increase your income. I look for various things, and I am actually on my neighborhood's email list, and they are always looking for a plumber to do something, looking for an electrician to do something, looking for someone to come cut down trees, just a variety of things. So people are looking for services, and they're willing to pay you for those services. So if you have a trade, if you have something that you can do, a talent that you can share with others, you can get paid for those. Concentrate and focus on those if it comes to making extra money. I was looking for a drone flying service. I fly drones myself, but I was looking for a drone flying service for a friend of mine because I fly for myself. I don't fly for anyone else. But it was a little more difficult than I thought it would be to find a drone flying service to take pictures of real estate and properties in the country and that type of thing. So if someone was into that and knew how to do it and was good at it, they could make a fortune with the drone flying service. Unfortunately, I'm not interested in that business. I'm into something else. But I do know how to fly drones, and I fly it for my own purposes. But look for ways to make extra income. They are out there, you guys. Virtual assistants, there's just so many ways these days to make extra income. So don't let that be the reason that you're not closing that wealth gap. The thing is, you need to do your part to close the wealth gap. Instead of talking about who's not doing this and who's not doing that for you and me, what are we doing for ourselves? That's what we need to be focusing on. That's the only thing that we can control. If we let someone else control everything, the hand that has the most control of feeding you also can control starving you. So keep that in mind. Work for yourself, make things for yourself, and close that wealth gap.